Let's jump right in. Today's explainer is all about a massive, profound psychological shift that happens at one very specific financial milestone. We're talking about the power of no, and why literally everything in your decision-making framework completely flips the moment you hit the magic number of $30,000.
30 grand. Now, I don't want you to just look at this as a bank balance or, some static line item on a spreadsheet. Actually, scratch that. Let's completely shift our perspective here. Picture this number as the ultimate tangible solution to that massive everyday stress that weighs on pretty much all of us. It's the ultimate buffer between you and the unpredictable chaos of life. This isn't just money we're talking about. It is a profound psychological threshold.
So here's the big mystery, right? Why does everything change here? What exactly transforms in your day-to-day reality when you finally hit this baseline of security? Now, spoiler alert, it's not about suddenly buying luxury cars or going on lavish vacations. No, the change is entirely internal, and it dictates literally every single move you make from this point forward.
It all comes down to this stark contrast: managing your money emotionally versus managing it strategically. See, before hitting this milestone, we're highly reactive. We're basically running on this exhausting treadmill of panic, just desperately trying to put out the next fire. But once you hit that security baseline, bam, you step off the treadmill, you shift into a space of calm authority and strategic planning. It is a fundamental rewiring of how you operate in the world.
But to really get the strategic side, we have to look at what's been holding us back. Enter the desperation trap. Before reaching that $30,000 mark, our emotional money management is fueled 100% by desperation. It totally forces our hand in everyday choices. When you're operating from a place of scarcity, your decisions aren't really choices at all, are they? They're sheer survival tactics. It's the difference between taking some grueling double shift just to make rent this week versus actually choosing a career path that aligns with your long-term goals.
Escaping that trap, that unlocks a newly discovered superpower. I call it no power. It's incredibly simple, but profoundly life-changing. It's just the ability to reject negative situations because you are no longer desperate. Just think about that for a second. This single concept completely redefines how you interact with your environment. It's definitely not about arrogance. It's about having this impenetrable shield against things that just do not serve you.
And the secret sauce really rests on the second half of that definition, because you are no longer desperate. I want you to seriously reflect on this right now. How much of your daily stress, your anxiety, or just your overall frustration stems directly from that underlying gnawing feeling of financial desperation? When that desperation finally evaporates, it's like a massive, suffocating weight just lifts right off your shoulders. It clears your vision. It completely gives you your agency back.
Okay, so how does this play out in the real world? Well, securing this financial foundation empowers you to permanently walk away from three very specific traps: toxic jobs, sketchy investments, and draining relationships. Let's break down the real-world impact of wielding your no power against each of these everyday pitfalls.
First up on the chopping block, toxic jobs. Be honest, have you ever taken, or maybe stayed way too long in, a role just out of pure desperation? Yeah, I think we've all been there. Unlocking your no power allows you to firmly, absolutely reject employment that harms your mental or physical well-being. With that 30 grand buffer, you don't have to endure a micromanaging boss or a culture that demands you answer emails at midnight just to keep the lights on. That buffer gives you the freedom to say no and confidently walk away to find something genuinely better.
Number 2, sketchy investments. When you're operating from a place of strategic money management, you stop falling for high-risk traps. You know exactly the ones I'm talking about. That can't-miss crypto tip from a buddy, or some wild scheme that preys on people feeling squeezed for time and cash. Because you aren't desperate for a quick fix to save you, you can look at these so-called opportunities with a cold, rational eye and just confidently say, no thanks.
And finally, maybe the most personal benefit of all, relationships. Having this financial cushion grants you the profound freedom to sever ties with draining dynamics that you might have felt financially tethered to in the past. Whether that's a toxic roommate situation you thought you literally couldn't afford to leave, or a relationship that forces you to tolerate bad behavior just out of dependency. This money provides a physical boundary. It buys your independence, giving you the emotional relief and power to finally say no to toxic people.
So, if we map it out, this whole transformation happens in 3 distinct phases. Step 1. You hit that $30,000 target. The immediate result of that is Phase 2, the total evaporation of desperation from your decision-making process. And that newfound clarity, it paves the way for Phase 3, managing your life strategically. You literally jump from a state of emotional vulnerability straight into a fully empowered, intentional lifestyle.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought.
Ask yourself, if you weren't desperate, what would you finally say no to? Because the true value of reaching this milestone isn't about what it lets you buy. It's entirely about what it lets you reject. I highly encourage you to apply this framework to your own financial goals, aim for that baseline, and claim your no power. Thanks for hanging out and learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.